The Galactic Council had convened for over 3 millennia, without a single moment of silence. The vast crystalline chamber, suspended in the void between dying stars, perpetually resonated with the diplomatic cacophony of 10,000 species. Translator arrays hummed constantly, converting the subsonic rumbles of the Threnody into comprehensible frequencies while simultaneously rendering the ultrasonic whistles of the Kepler-7 delegation into universal standard. Today, however, would be different. Ambassador Lyra Chen stood at the entrance to the speaking chamber, a small Earth-made device clutched in her hands. The portable music player, primitive by galactic standards, contained humanity's most dangerous weapon, their cultural expression rendered in organized sound. The Vorthak delegation had been particularly vocal in their opposition to Earth's admission to the Council. Their representative, a towering crystalline entity whose thoughts manifested as shifting geometric patterns, had spent the morning session detailing humanity's barbaric tendencies and emotional instability. The accusations were familiar. Every species seemed to view human emotional range as either a curiosity or a liability. The creatures from Sol 3 demonstrate none of the logical consistency required for civilized discourse, the Vorthak had declared, its translated voice echoing through the chamber. Their decision-making processes are contaminated by what they call feelings. They are unfit for galactic society. Murmurs of agreement rippled through various delegations. The Zephyrians, beings of pure energy who communicated through electromagnetic pulses, pulsed in synchronized patterns of concurrence. The Mechanical Nexus Collective responded with calculated probability matrices that supported the Vorthak position. Chen had listened to 6 hours of similar testimony. Every species present had achieved interstellar travel through pure logic, mathematical precision, or evolutionary adaptation. They had conquered space through rationality, conquered time through calculation, conquered matter through systematic understanding. None of them had ever encountered music. When the presiding consciousness, a collective mind representing the Council's founding species, finally recognized Earth's delegation, Chen approached the central speaking platform. The chamber's acoustic dampeners automatically adjusted to optimize her vocal range, a small courtesy extended to all speakers. "Honored representatives," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "My species has been characterized as emotional, unstable, and unfit for galactic civilization. These accusations are not without merit. We are indeed driven by forces that many of you might consider irrational." The chamber stirred slightly. It was unusual for a defendant to acknowledge their supposed deficiencies. "However," Chen continued, "I would like to demonstrate that these characteristics, rather than being weaknesses, represent a form of communication and expression that predates and transcends pure logic." She raised the small device. "This contains what we call music, organized sound that serves no practical purpose, follows no logical mandate, and exists purely to evoke what we call emotion. I ask the Council's permission to share this with you." The presiding consciousness conferred, for 0.3 seconds, an eternity in collective mind time before granting permission. Chen activated the device. The first notes of Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 in G major filled the chamber. The simple mathematical progression of notes began as any species might expect, organized frequencies following comprehensible patterns. But as the piece developed, something unprecedented occurred. The Threnody, whose subsonic communications had rumbled continuously for 3 millennia, gradually fell silent. Their massive forms, resembling living mountains, seemed to lean forward as the cello's voice rose and fell through its ancient progressions. The Kepler-7 delegation's high-frequency chatter ceased entirely. Their insectoid forms, typically, in constant motion, became perfectly still. Even the Vorthak's geometric thought pattern slowed, its crystalline structure refracting the chamber's light in rhythm with the music's cadence. Chen let the suite play for exactly 4 minutes and 33 seconds before transitioning to Nina Simone's Feeling Good. The jazz arrangement's improvisational elements, its departure from strict mathematical structure, created visible confusion among species that had never encountered organized chaos. Yet they listened. Next came traditional throat singing from Mongolia, its harmonic overtones creating frequencies that resonated with the Zephyrians' electromagnetic spectra in ways that made their energy forms shimmer with unprecedented colors. The final piece was a simple children's lullaby, sung a cappella by Chen herself. Her untrained but sincere voice carried the melody that had soothed human children for centuries, its simplicity more profound than the most complex symphonic arrangements. When silence returned to the chamber, it was not the familiar absence of sound that typically preceded the next speaker. This was a different kind of silence, contemplative, processing, transformative. The presiding consciousness spoke first, its collective voice carrying a note of uncertainty that had never been recorded in council archives. "We do not understand," it admitted. "The organized frequencies you have shared serve no logical purpose. They convey no empirical data, solve no practical problems, advance no strategic objectives. Yet," the pause extended for nearly 30 seconds, "yet we found ourselves affected, changed. The sounds created responses in our consciousness that we cannot categorize or quantify. They generated experiences we have no framework to process." The Vorthak representatives' geometric patterns had shifted to configurations unknown in their historical database. When it finally spoke, its translated voice carried harmonics that had never before emerged from its crystalline matrix. "The effect is unsettling," it admitted. "We experienced sensations that have no practical application, served no survival function, yet seemed valuable, important. We do not understand why," Chen smiled, an expression that the translation systems could not adequately convey to most species present. "That," she said quietly, "is exactly the point. Music doesn't exist because it's logical or practical. It exists because it's necessary. It's how we process experiences that pure logic cannot address. It's how we share emotions that mathematical equations cannot express. It's how we connect with each other across differences that rational discourse cannot bridge." She looked around the chamber at the thousands of representatives, each representing civilizations that had mastered matter, energy, space, and time. "You've conquered the universe through logic," she continued, "but you've never learned to sing while doing it. You've mapped every star, but you've never written a love song to the cosmos. You've calculated the meaning of existence, but you've never danced with joy at simply being alive." The chamber remained silent for another full minute. When the formal vote was finally taken, Earth's admission to the Galactic Council was unanimous. But more significantly, it marked the first time in recorded history that the council session ended not with formal adjournment protocols, but with the unprecedented sound of 10,000 species attempting, with varying degrees of success, to hum along to a melody they could not understand but somehow needed to experience. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting 3 millennia to learn how to sing, and in the vast spaces between the stars, for the first time since the council's founding, silence fell not from the absence of communication, but from the presence of something far more powerful, shared wonder at the discovery of beauty for its own sake. Music, humanity's gift to the cosmos, had finally taught the universe how to feel.